In January 2024, Russ the Sus proclaimed to the town of Otter Creek that he's taken his town back. Well, I've got all the paperwork on how he tried to do it, but utterly failed yet again. In the January meeting, Russ the Sus proclaimed to all those in attendance outside of the town hall, because the town hall meeting never legally happened, he was taking the town back. And in February, he walks out, and he hasn't been seen since. So I had to do some digging, some public record requests. And here's the thing with these public records. And here's the thing that Don the Con and his wife Rosemary and Mary and Russ the Sus and Lynette and Crook, every time you call the cops, it's a public record. Every time you file something with the state, with the town, with the county, it's a public record. Anytime you use your phone, your personal email, doing town business or county or state or federal, it's public record, and public records incriminate crooks. And so you're gonna wanna, you're gonna wanna hear this entire thing. First of all, it's hilarious, and second of all, it's extremely incriminating. So Russ the Sus files a complaint with the Attorney General in regards to the lack of an election in 2024 in Otter Creek. Now keep in mind, to have an election, first and foremost, you must have multiple individuals running for that same seat, which there was not present in the 2024 election. The two one-year seats had two individuals running for them, and they get seated automatically because there is no opposition. The two-year seats had three people running for them, and then Stuart drops out. And of all other people being incriminated in this, yep, it's Stuart. We'll get to the Attorney General paperwork, but this complaint right here was filed with the Florida Elections Commission, particularly in Levy County. Now you can see down here, there is the complaint, and the person making the complaint is Russell Meeks Sr. And then we also have received FloridaElections.com on March 8th, 2024 at 4:06 p.m. Now there are multiple pages, and we will get to this, but I do want to make it very, very clear. Yeah, well, there's the Attorney General right there, but we'll get to it. Russ the Sus did not type this. Now, you know Russ the Sus can't even say odor or odor. Oh, wait, that's what he says. Odor instead of odor or otter. He can't even pronounce words, let alone have rational thinking to put thoughts down in writing.
He don't do emails.
Considering he doesn't do emails as well, that limits down to who actually prepared these documents. So, number one, was it Russ the Sus? I think we all know it wasn't Russ the Sus. Number two, was it Attorney Warm? There's a possibility there. Number three, was it Lynette? Well, there are complete sentences and punctuation, and the spelling is correct. So, we're going to say no on the Lynette. Who are our other options? Don the Con, Rosemary, Mary. No, this doesn't fit the bill. Shart! Yeah, well, it's starting to smell a little stanky. So, you know, it really doesn't matter who actually typed it and wrote it. It's obvious Russ the Sus didn't. So he makes a complaint on March 8th, 2024 in Levy County, town of Otter Creek, administration, alleged violations. Okay, so you're going to see right here, down here, alleged violations. And again, this is all public record. Anybody can access this at any time. And it says here, please attach a concise narrative statement in which you list the provisions of the Florida Election Code that you believe the person named above has violated. Well, who is the person that he says violated? They're saying the town of Otter. Yeah, that's weird that it doesn't say Otter Creek administration. Okay, so he's clearly saying that it is the current town council that did it. All right, and so this document, this is the beginning, and obviously we've redacted some information as well. So here's the really interesting part here. Okay, this is where this document must be notarized, and it was notarized on March 4th. 2024 by none other than Stuart.
Dun, dun, dun.
Boom. And this is the craziest part right here. When you're a notary, you are either, you check personally known or produced identification. Okay? Type of identification, Florida driver's license. Okay, hold a second. Hold up. Wait a minute. Put a few more lies in it. All right? This is ridiculous, as if Stuart Stewart, as a notary, said, Russ the Sus, yeah, show me your driver's license. Why would he even lie about that on this document? He obviously lied about it. There's no way that Stuart Stewart made Russell Meeks Sr. pull out his driver's license when Stuart Stewart has been a part of the corruption with Russ the Sus, when he could have just literally checked personally known, which any normal person would have done.
This is the same Stuart Stewart that dropped out from running for council, which eliminated the election. Had it not been Stuart Stewart dropping out, there would have been an election in 2024.
Maybe Stuart Stewart helped him type this up. Although, not likely. I think George and I know who did it, but let's just get into this document. This is the official complaint. As you can see, his name and date is right here, March 1st, 2024. Remember, he was taking the town back, and then he walks out, and then he disappears. Nobody has seen him since. So he sends this to the Florida Elections Commission, and it says, Dear Sir or Madam. Maybe Madam Mayor got a copy of this. It says, at the last election held in Otter Creek in April 2023, I was elected to the town council, and at that election, 3 seats were filled. All right, let's stop right there, because so far, that's correct. So in 2023, he was elected to the town council. There was actually a 3-way tie, but Gail received the most votes, and then there was a 3-way tie between Russ the Sus, Madam Mayor Therese, and who was the third person, George?
Zim.
And Zim. All right, so those 3 are all in a 3-way tie. Keep this in mind, because this is extremely important when you see the response from the state, from the Elections Commission, from the Attorney General, through any of this. When you even look at the charter, this is extremely important. Gail got the most votes. Russ the Sus is down here with Madam Mayor Therese and Zim. And so Gail gets the most votes. The other 3 are a 3-way tie. So far, Russ the Sus is telling the truth. He was elected to the town council, and the 3 seats were to be filled. One of them was to complete the expired term of a council person who resigned with 1 year left of service. Now let's pause right there. This whole situation was created by Russ the Sus because Russ the Sus was being a puppet master to Laura Mott. Now, I'm not for Mott. I hope someday I got Mott, all right? I want to be about Mott, but right now, I'm still not for Mott until she proves she's actually for the people and not just a puppet for the puppet master, Russ the Sus, who then encourages her to go on and run for the county commission, which she fails miserably, and then Russ the Sus resumes the mayorship of the town of Otter Creek. That was all part of his plan. That's obviously part of his plan. I get that. You get that. We all get that. But since she steps down, there's an unfulfilled spot and an unfulfilled term, because all terms are 2 years. She only served 1. She's gone. And now somebody's got to pick up that slack and fill that 1 year term instead of doing a 2 year term to get everything back on track to where there's 2 voted in, and then the next year 3 are voted in, and the next year 2 voted in. It's all odd, even to keep the good, positive change in Otter Creek.
It makes me wonder why she didn't just fill that seat back up and put in her letter of interest.
Makes no sense to me either. All right, the other 2 were 2-year terms prescribed by the charter for the office. All right, well, we're going to look at the charter. We will get to that, I promise. The individual who'd been appointed by the council to fill the vacated seat pending the election was one of the winning candidates. Let's read that again. The individual who had been appointed by the council to fill the vacated seat pending the election was one of the winning candidates. That means it was stated that Russ the Sus was going to fill out the 1 year term. Yep, all makes sense so far. The question arose post-election: which of the prevailing candidates was to serve the unexpired term and which to have a full term? The town attorney, which at that point in time was Attorney Warm, currently it's Megan, but then it was Attorney Warm who refused to actually litigate for them, which means he would not go in court, he would not fight for them in court, he would just take their money, which isn't even the council's money, it's the entire residents of Otter Creek's money. That's what we're paying taxes for. And if I could be so bold, I'm one of the highest taxpayers in Otter Creek. A lot of that money was mine, but it was all of ours, every resident. All right, the town attorney was inclined, here we go. The town attorney was inclined to the opinion. You see, that's highlighted there.
Keyword.
Keyword there is opinion. Why is it a keyword?
The keyword of opinion, because it's not set in stone. It's just an opinion. That's what it is. It's not law. It's not part of the charter. It's not part of the ordinance. It's just an opinion.
Okay, well, I have lots of opinions. As a citizen journalist, I share the actual facts in the news. For example, I'm sharing the facts right now. This is literally the facts, the reality of what Russ the Sus did. And I'm sharing with you my opinions based on that as well. And I'll take this opportunity to share again, never contact anybody that we share the news about in Otter Creek or in our daily lives. It's not appropriate. Just learn from it. Learn. And so the Attorney Worm was inclined to the opinion that the person who had been occupying as appointee the vacated seat would inherit the unexpired term, but suggested requesting a formal Attorney General opinion. Look at this again. Even Russ the Sus, who did not type this and didn't use these words, but these words are coming back to haunt him now. The Attorney General opinion to resolve the question. Okay. So let's get this extremely clear. Number one, Russ the Sus, who did not write this, is now stating that Attorney Worm gave an opinion, and that's all it is. It's not law. And then said, hey, let's go to the Attorney General for an opinion. And that's all it is. It's an opinion. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong, doesn't make it fact, doesn't make it false. It's just literally an opinion. That's all it is. I give opinions all the time. You give opinions in the comments. George never stops giving me opinions. There are opinions. Do you have an opinion about these opinions?
Well, my opinion about the opinion is, let me think about it and I'll get back to you.
Okay, well, all of a sudden, no opinions. To resolve the question, they were going to go to the Attorney General for his and or her opinion. The mayor at the time arrogated, wait, hold a second. It was arrogated. Now, I'm almost positive, number one, that Russ the Sus doesn't know what that word is. Russ the Sus doesn't know how to pronounce that word. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. And Russ the Sus couldn't spell it, couldn't tell you the definition, couldn't tell you the meaning, couldn't tell you anything about that word right there. The authority to decide unilaterally, we know he doesn't know that word. And yes, it's there. Okay, I pronounced it correctly. But unilateral, yeah, you know,
it's a tongue twister. Say it fast 5 times.
I want to do it like Russ the Sus would do it. Otter Creek. Unilaterally who it would be, and for reasons clearly more political than rational, said it would be me. Now, here's what it says. More clearly more political than rational, said it would be me. Okay, now let's just pause right there. So what he's saying is the Attorney Worm gave an opinion. Attorney Worm says, let's get the Attorney General's opinion. And then the mayor at the time just assigned it to him and said it's more political than rational. Let's see. She gave clear definition of why he would be in that seat, because of all the legal liability he placed the town in, because of all the things that he did not to help the clear transition of the town, everything he took from the town he's still lying about. He's literally under investigation for trying to use the ex-mayor, Madam Mayor Therese, and her husband for adult favors. He's under investigation by the Tallahassee Committee of Ethics right now for those allegations. And they have been in contact with Madam Mayor Therese. They have been in contact with her husband, Brett. This man is literally under an ethics investigation for the things he tried to get away with and get from Madam Mayor Therese before she ever was mayor.
Abusing his power.
And he wants to talk about, this is more political than rational. Well, first of all, it's a town of 100 people,
Give
and
or
it's
take.
town council, and it is political, unfortunately. Now, it's not Republican versus Democrat, thank the Lord, because who wants to get in those fights? And we're not about that on this channel either. So how in the world can it be more political than rational? I don't follow. I don't follow. But then again, I also know Russ the Sus didn't write this.
Well, that's how his brain works.
Oh, well, so does Lynette's with all the rotten food on somebody else's property now. Vacated property behind the 1.66 acres that she clearly doesn't own. Clearly a 4-year-old owns, based on the last video that we shared with her communicating with the Levy County deputies. All right, the clerk has recently announced the candidates for the upcoming election in April. And I just learned that she is purporting, here we go, another word, and I just learned that she is, another word, he has no idea what that word is. He couldn't say it, he couldn't pronounce it, he couldn't spell it, he couldn't give you a definition. This is not Russ the Sus, okay? It's very, very clear. This
Someone
is
else wrote
not
it
Russ
for him.
the Sus. And of course, we obviously know who wrote it. You know who wrote it. Come on. All right, so he purporting to be filling the seat I occupy. And then he goes on to say, I feel that the arbitrary purported action of the mayor was a nullity. Oh, here we go. Another word that he definitely does not know. And that I was elected by the voters to a 2-year, right there, he was elected by the voters to a 2-year term. That's weird, because the voters didn't want anything to do with him this coming year. Okay. That I was elected by the voters to a 2-year term, which does not expire until the year 2025. And that to claim otherwise and to act on such a claim is... This is going to be a key word to give it all away right here. Who wrote this? Fraudulent!
Fraudulent! I can't stand that word now.
Like
the word moist.
We know
I hate
Lynette
it just as much.
loves saying fraudulent, and I love saying moist. So
maybe she was one of the editors.
She could.
For his complaint.
Do you seriously think that Lynette could ever edit anything? Can you give me your opinion?
My opinion to that opinion of her being an editor for his fraudulent complaint. She could have been one of the many editors. She could have been one of 8 editors before he submitted his complaint.
Okay. Well, we know for a fact that Don the Con, Rosemary, Russ the Sus, Lynette, Crook, Sharp, we're all in on this together. But it's very evident who wrote this out of that group, and they don't live in
It could be
Otter
Marley,
Creek.
too. I mean,
Well, there was the aspect of Marley huge, but
she's
no,
part
she's
of a legal
busy.
team.
She's busy. She is representing somebody, part of a legal team. We will be sharing that later this week in regards to whose legal team she's on, because she's done so many horrific things that, frankly, she's on our team. I mean, how can it get any better? It's amazing. So this claim is fraudulent and unlawful and part of a conspiracy to deprive me of the office and betray the voters who put me there. This is starting to sound like the golden key. Huh? All right, here we go. The town council and the town clerk are all aware of the activities above described, as is the former town attorney Steve Worm Esquire.
Yeah. Definitely not him.
You don't think it was him?
Esquire.
You don't think? All right. Now, here, we got a big word coming
Well, definitely
up, okay?
not Russ writing that opinion.
Now, there's a big word coming up that that George didn't even know this word when she read it. And when I read it for the first time, I asked George, what in the world is that word? Now, keep in mind, I do have a college degree. I actually have a master's degree in organizational leadership. These are not typical words you would ever use in normal conversation. But it's no doubt whatsoever he did not write this. So, last paragraph on this page says, accompanying this filing is a video of the clerk announcing the results of the, here we go, George, you want to pronounce it?
Machinations.
All right, George put the definition right here.
For those of you who have never heard of the word machinations, it means plot or scheme.
All right, so it's a plot or scheme. Why not just put plot or scheme? Accompanying this filing is a video of the clerk announcing the results of the plot or scheme above described.
Machinations.
So maybe he's lost in his own machinations right now. And he's imagining that this actually was a plot or a scheme. Of course, he never knew what that word was, nor does Lynette or Crook or anybody else. I mean, come on, you know who wrote this. And so I think they're all lost in their minds. And I've said this so many times, birds of a feather flock together. And if you want to be a multimillionaire, you need to hang out with 5 other multimillionaires. If you want to be not a multimillionaire, then go hang out with 5 not multimillionaires.
What if I want to be a tortoise?
What
if money means nothing and I just want to be happy in a judge-free world and I just want to be free with the tortoises and the sea turtles?
Then I would say social media and YouTube is not a very good place for you, because all these people do is judge. And the funniest thing is, those people who judge, those people who say things such as, oh yeah, you should take on Jeremy, you should take on George, you should take on What the Hales. They have no consequences to the financial huge investment that it takes to be in court. And so for somebody at home in their underwear, eating cheese puffs and wiping it on their tank top, in their mom's basement, in their mom's trailer, wherever it is, doing whatever it is they're doing, and to behind the screen to be rallying somebody on, yeah, do it, say it, do it. They live life without the consequences that the actual person that's doing it is going to get.
Does age have anything to do with that?
Age has nothing to do with it. Gender has nothing to do with it. Race has nothing to do with it. Nothing.
Foolish is foolish, no matter what your age, race, gender is.
Stupid is.
The smart ones usually just stay quiet.
Oh, not too many smart people. So he goes on to say, also included is a copy of the proposed request for the Attorney General's opinion. Now, highlighted yet again, for the Attorney General's opinion. Now, let's be extremely clear. If the Attorney General came back to Madam Mayor and said, hey, I think you should give Russ the Sus the 2-year seat and you should get the 1-year seat, what is that? Law? No. It's simply an opinion. A-N, opinion. Remember, it's always an before another word that has a vowel in it. So, it's only an opinion. That's all it is. That's it. It's an opinion, which means you can do whatever you want. There is no law. No law against, no law for. It's just, hey,
opinion.
If George comes to me and says, what's the question that you would ask me?
So last week at the schoolhouse, I threw out an opinion out there to see what your thoughts were. I'm like, hey, thoughts on turning this room into your tool room. It was just an idea, an opinion, like, what do you think? And I wanted what your thoughts and your opinions of my idea, and what was your answer?
Same answer I always give her. Do whatever you want, because you're going to do it anyway. That's my opinion. All right. So it goes on, for the proposed request for an Attorney General opinion prepared by counsel, but declined to be sent in, and a copy of the charter provision detailing or dealing with the vacancies. Now, we are going to look at the actual charter and what it has to say. And it's going to blow your mind that this moron would even send that in, because what it does is proves he's wrong, except he didn't write this. So, we already know he's wrong. We already know the things he's done is completely sickening and gross to the residents of Otter Creek. And so,
well, now we know where he's been hiding and what he's been doing.
Well, that's true. We do know where he's been hiding. And then he goes on, page 4 here. The conduct is believed to be a violation of Florida Statute 104.051 and Florida Statute 104.091, Russell Meeks Sr. signed there. Now, keep those statutes in mind, because this is extremely important in their response. This is the document that Attorney Worm actually prepared for Madam Mayor Therese to send to the Attorney General for their opinion. We are going to look at that. And this is what the town charter of Otter Creek has to say about this situation, which we already know the town charter Chowder. Why am
No,
I
wait,
saying
hold on a
chowder?
second. That's a resolution that Worm also created.
Oh, Worm created this resolution?
Yes.
Okay, well, we're going to look at this resolution as well. So this is something that wasn't voted in. Okay. All right. So you're telling me this was not voted in then? This is what he tried to create because of it.
Yes.
All right. So George actually has more information on this than I do. That's why I keep asking her for her opinion. Let's go over the memorandum first that Attorney Worm wanted Madam Mayor Therese to send to the Attorney General. Now, let's also pick out one of the falsehoods in this letter that was sent to the Elections Commission. Attorney General did receive this. They received it. And I'm going to tell you what the response was after we go over it. So we can see here, all right, to the Attorney General, Department of Legal Affairs, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. This is memorandum of law. All right, so let's go ahead. We'll go through it. And Attorney Worm did prepare this. I don't think he was asked to, but he did. It says the charter of the town of Otter Creek provides as follows with regard to the filing of a midterm vacancy of the town council. So what he's saying is this is what the current charter says. Keep in mind the current charter of Otter Creek, as Megan has shared multiple times this past year, is illegal. It goes against state law, it goes against federal law, and it cannot remain that way. And so many people want to know, well, why aren't they updating it? Because it costs tens of thousands of dollars with an attorney to make it right. And they don't have that kind of money, and they're losing money left and right. Okay, so let's just keep taking a look here. It says 1.050 vacancy in elective office. In the event of a death, resignation, disqualification of any of the members of the town council, a successor shall be elected by the remaining council persons at the regular meeting after the vacancy occurs. The successor shall serve as the council person until the next town election, at which the time the qualified elector shall elect a council person to serve for the remainder of the unexpired term, if there be any. Now, take a peek right here. Shall elect a council person to serve the remainder of the term, if there be any. Now, let's read that again. Shall elect a council person to serve the remainder of the term, if there be any. There was a remainder of the term. It was 1 year. The townspeople voted. There was a three-way tie. Gail got number one position, and there was a three-way tie between Therese and then Russ the Sus and Zim. So they did vote, and Russ was part of that vote to fulfill the remaining of that term, which was 1 year. All right, it goes on to say the charter also provides the establishment of staggered terms of office for council members. 1.030 Town Council. A. The Town Council shall be comprised of 5 council members who will be qualified electors residing within the town limits. This is where individuals keep saying, well, I think this person should run. That person doesn't live within the town limits and they're not qualified. Well, what about this person? Again, they have to be a resident of Otter Creek, and they're not. What about this person? Oh my goodness. It gets exhausting sometimes on YouTube. All right. So, residing within the town limits and shall be elected upon incorporation of the town in the following manner. The 3 candidates receiving the largest number of votes. Actually, let's do this right here. The 3 candidates receiving the largest number of votes shall be elected for a term of 2 years. And then the 2 candidates receiving the 4th and 5th highest number of votes shall be an election for the term of 1 year. Okay. Now, I hope that you understand this was part of the charter that established the town of Otter Creek. So this was the very first election, and this provision is for the first election. Otter Creek has been electing many, many, many decades past this. And so this is null and void in the first place in regards to trying to stagger in the original election, giving somebody the 1 year, or the 2 individuals got the 1 year term, right? Following this initial election of officers, all terms shall be 2 years. The intent of this session is to provide for a staggered term of office for the members of the council. 3 members shall be elected in the odd numbered years. 2 members shall be elected in the even numbered years. And 2 members shall be elected in even numbered years to serve until the duly elected successors are elected and qualified. In 2023, a council member serving a term due to expire in 2024 resigned, and the town council appointed an individual to serve, as contemplated by the charter, until April 2023, the date of the next election. The individual appointed to the seat became a candidate for council in the April 2023 election, where 3 persons were elected. That included 2 seats regularly up for election and filing the expired term. The question there arose as to which of the electors, all having to run at large for no particular seat. This is the major problem with the town charter. Each seat should actually be numbered. You're running for seat number 1, running for seat number 2, running for seat number 3, running for seat number 4, and running for seat number 5. They don't number any of their seats, and therefore they are constantly in a mess. All right. And then it goes on to say, the question arose as to which of the electors, all having to run at large for no particular seat, would be deemed to be filling the unexpired term. None of the candidates, including the appointee occupying the formerly vacant seat, declared themselves as running for the expired term. So the ballots cast were what? Generic. Now hold a second. Hold a second. Now, Attorney Worm says it was generic, but Russ the Sus, under somebody else filing, said it was fraudulent. What? It was a plot or scheme. Fraudulent. It was a plot or scheme. But Attorney Worm says, no, it was all generic. It was generic. Nah, this is not helping his case at all. There does not appear to be any precedent which would resolve this issue. Precedent means this is the first time that it happened. This is the decision that's been made, and this is the direction that all future people should go. So it's literally like if George and I go, hey, let's go for a hike. Well, George goes, there's no trail. And I go, all right, let's get a machete, and let's make one. And then
you want to get a machete to make some machinations with the machete?
I'll make some machinations with you later. All right, So he goes on to say there does not appear to be a precedent which would resolve the issue. Council suggested that when the person occupying the seat filled the appointed ran for the election, that nothing other than the circumstance would so indicate. CAG opinion attached, articulating that it is the voter's choice that should prevail. All right, and there is no opinion by the Attorney General. So it's funny that it actually says see the Attorney General opinion attached. There isn't. We will get to some things in regards to that, but let's keep going on. All right. And although that position has merit, it is believed that it also has a weakness. Now, this is Attorney Worm literally saying that Russell Meeks being appointed to the 1 year has merit. That position has merit, but then he says it also has weakness. All right, let me get back here. So, also has weakness. What if the incumbent had not run or not been elected at all? 3 electors were new. How would the designation then be accomplished, and why necessarily should it be different than the incumbent did run? Although that is indeed an infirmity, can you just say it plain and simple? What he's trying to say is, all right, Russ was on the board before. Now Russ is on the board again. What if it was 3 brand new people? Who gets the 1 year term? And the answer simply is, it's appointed. But we got to run around in ridiculous paragraphs to say absolutely nothing.
Word salads?
Okay. Although it is indeed an infirmity, council does believe that in this instance, since it's the incumbent did run, it would be the elected incumbent serving the unexpired term, and that the issue of what would happen is not something that needs to be addressed prospectively by ordinance. Now, this is Steve Worm saying, this doesn't need to be addressed by an ordinance within the charter. Okay? That's what he's saying. He's saying this to the Attorney General. The other possibilities include a suggestion that council itself, by majority vote, should make the choice. Council, and by the way, that's what happened. They took a vote, and Russ the Sus was given the 1 year term. Council sees an inherent problem that it's because of 3 of the votes were necessarily coming from parties with personal interest in the outcome, something that raises questions and should be avoided. Another suggestion is the choice be made by drawing straws, literally.
Literally.
And that's what they were really fighting for, by chance, literally. It wasn't by chance that Russ the Sus put the town in a tremendous amount of liability. It's not by chance he's being actually very, very heavily investigated right now. We're not putting this up for chance. But this is what he's saying.
So
this
no
is
rock,
another
paper,
suggestion. And by the
scissors?
way, that was Don the Con's suggestion. Chance. Let's do it by casting lots, which is foolishness. While there is an element of fairness to this, an ordinance does provide the resolving a tied election by a coin flip. That is in the actual charter. If there's a tie in the election, 2 people, coin flip. All right, but that also
Can't do a coin flip with a 3-way tie.
can't do that with 3 people. It seems that the undersigned, that not only to mention, that's if somebody gets the seat or doesn't get the seat. These are 3 individuals that all got the seat, and now the question is, who actually gets the 1-year term? There's nothing in the charter about who gets appointed the 1-year term because of all the mess that Russ the Sus created. And don't forget that. It was him playing puppet master that created this huge mess in the first place. It seems to the undersigned that letting luck, as it were, determine the result is the very last resort. Even Attorney Warren is saying this is stupid. And by the way, it was Don the Con that wanted it to all be about luck. That when the voters vote the incumbent, they should be presumed to believe they were voting in the absence of any indication to the contrary, to continue the person in the seat they already occupied. Those recited above would appear to be the only practical alternatives. A new election could be held, it is true, but this would seem, all considering, a time-consuming and expensive solution, one that should be undertaken only if all else proves unlawful or inadvisable. The vote tally for the 3 election winners was 34. 34, 34, 34. Although not directly applicable, a somewhat anglaless, stupid word, I just use normal words for normal people, situation is addressed at 1.030 of the charter above, where provided that a candidate in the seminal election with the fewest votes gets the shortest term after a coin toss in this situation. Again, this is not addressing the situation that was here. That is a specific towards the charter for a specific situation. Frankly, doesn't even mean that it's legal right now. It's another possibility with some rational valiance. The charter language of 1.050 read broadly would suggest that he or who run for what term should have been on the ballot. All right, so this is what Attorney Worm is saying. He's saying that every seat should have been signified on the actual election ballot. The 1-year term should have been stated as such on the ballot, and Russ should have said, I'm running for it or I'm not. And then the 2-year term seat, say seat number 2, seat number 3, seat number 4, which they now have corrected with this past election. And by the way,
with the new administration, it's done that way. But with the previous administration, it wasn't.
So this is the paperwork that was sent to the Attorney General. Now, here's what I want you to understand. Madam Mayor Therese sent it to the Attorney General. And guess what happened? George, do you want to tell him?
I don't.
Exactly. Nothing.
Crickets.
Nothing. That's what happened. Nothing. They didn't respond. And why would they? It's a ridiculous situation. It's a town of 100 people. What does the Attorney General care? There's no laws in regards to it. There's nothing that says you can't appoint. There's nothing that says you can't appoint. There's nothing. Just figure it out. 5 adults on a council should be able to figure it out. Well, they did. They appointed Russ the Sus the 1-year term. Now, here's the funny thing right here. This is the resolution that Attorney Worm actually wanted them to adopt in the charter, so he drafted it. And Madam Mayor Therese didn't ask him to draft it. He just did it. And so he drafted this for any future issues right here, which was never, ever accepted. But at the same time, here it is. Resolution number dash, whatever it is. So your resolutions, as they're added, they get everything based on the year that they're added. So this would be 2023 dash. If they already had 2 resolutions voted in, it would be resolution number 3. Resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Otter Creek in the County of Levy, authorizing and directing the town attorney to seek, this is ridiculous, to seek an Attorney General's opinion regarding the question of which newly elected council members is serving unexpired and thus shorter term. Whereas a question has been arisen regarding the assignment of the unexpected term as between the newly elected council members. Whereas the advice of council, now listen, this is him asking them to adopt a resolution for him to actually contact the Attorney General. Nobody's going to pay a lawyer to contact the Attorney General when the mayor did it by herself on her own. And by the way, there's the actual, this is the paperwork.
That's the shipping label.
Shipping label.
Of his complaint.
What's this?
That says thumb drive from Mr. Worm.
All right, so, and a thumb drive as well. So, all of this goes
Thumb
to...
is spelled wrong.
Yes, it is. Very much so. Absolutely. And all of this goes to the Elections Committee. And you're not going to believe what they responded with.